So you're listening to Data Skeptic. And you can imagine that people like you are also listening to Data Skeptic. Would you like your message to reach them or your company's message to reach them? Why not consider advertising with us? Send your inquiries to advertising@dataskeptic.com. It's time we did some fundamentals. I want to get into Shapley Values today. You've heard this come up in a number of episodes on Data Skeptic. Shapley Values are these useful metrics for deciding how important a feature is or what it contributes to the decision a machine learning model is going to make. It's a very nice methodology, one that's quite intuitive. Its only drawback being its complexity for computing it. Welcome to Data Skeptic Interpretability. Today we get back to old form in the tradition of our older mini episodes. Linhda joins me for a practical hands-on discussion of the Shapley Values. All that and more right after the break. Thanks to this week's sponsor, the Gartner Data and Analytics Summit. That's being held in Grapevine, Texas this year, March 23rd through 26th, 2020. This is a great event for all types of data professionals. There's a lot of tracks, and I want you to go online to gartner.com/US/data. Just check out the agenda. It's not going to cost you anything. It's worth looking to see if there's anything in the multitude of tracks and sessions they have going on that's of interest to you. There's over 150 sessions. And if you like it, use the code DATASKEPTIC for $350 off the standard price, March 23rd through 26th, 2020 in Grapevine, Texas. So who should attend? Well, analytics and business intelligence leaders, of course. Also senior IT and business leaders, as well as architects. Whether you're currently a chief data officer, if so, there's special stuff for you, or maybe you're on the CDO track. This is a great event for networking, for keeping up with your field, and maybe plotting your next move, whether that be in your career or at the helm of your current organization. I'd like you all to go to gartner.com/US/data and click on Agenda. There you'll find the 8 tracks. My personal favorite, AI, Data Science, and Machine Learning, The Future Starts Now. But I definitely want at least some of you in Trust and Governance and maybe Data Architecture. Heck, all of these are good tracks. Find the one that's right for you. All that and more at gartner.com/US/data. And use the discount code DATASKEPTIC for $300 off when you sign up. March 23rd through 26th, 2020 in Grapevine, Texas, the Gartner Data and Analytics Summit. Hey Data Skeptic listeners, we're launching another survey and we'd like your help. If you've got 2 minutes to spare, please take our survey at dataskeptic.com/survey. Your feedback helps us deliver the quality content you can find from Data Skeptic, and you might just win a free t-shirt. So do me a favor and head over to dataskeptic.com/survey and tell us about yourself. All right, Linhda, welcome back. Listeners haven't heard from you in a while.
Hello.
There were rumors, you know.
Well, what's one of them?
People compared me to David Miscavige.
I'd have to know who that was.
A couple of people will Google it. Don't worry about it. Let's get into the main topic. Why have you been so busy? Where have you been at?
Well, I think we'll just skip to the point. We are considering doing a home renovation.
Yes.
So it's going to be a big deal. We've lived here 3 years, have never renovated the home because, well, it's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You have to move out. And
Yeah.
people who've lived through it did not like it. That, and we have the bird Yoshi to consider.
Yes.
She does not like loud noises.
But she did like the design crew that came here.
Well, you want to talk about that?
No, maybe later. For now, let's get on to our main topic of Shapley Values. Now, Shapley Values are a tool we are going to use to decide how to pick the important contributions to what we're going to design, right? We can't afford everything, can we?
Nope. We have something that's called a budget.
Right. Listeners should be familiar with that. We have to fit in our most important things to the budget.
Oh, yes. Well, we got to prioritize.
How do you know which things will contribute the most, right? If there's 20 ideas, how do you determine which are the most critical ones?
Well, with the home renovation, they always say the most common things that bring value to the home are the kitchen and the bathrooms. So that's what we're going to focus on.
So the Shapley values, the way they might help us, is to decide how much credit or value we assign to each part of the work. So like if we really have to give up on the Spanish tile you love to get some just cheap linoleum, is that more of a detriment than, let's say, having a certain sink instead of the nice sink? You know, right? Those sorts of trade-off decisions you have to make.
Well, the early decisions are probably the most important ones.
This concept comes from game theory, in particular like coalition games. So this would be something like maybe if you wanted to evaluate a band, how they should split up their proceeds if they had like a big hit single. What did each member contribute to that process? Given that, they may have joined the bands at different times, they wrote different parts for the songs or not at all, or they were on this tour, not that tour, or with a company, right? If there's a lot of different professionals at the company, they all matter, but who should get the biggest bonus? These are questions Shapley values might be used for. But in machine learning, we're interested in Shapley values because they can help with interpretability. So if you have a black box model and you want to say, well, how come this black box model denied my loan or labeled this picture as, adult content or whatever the thing is, you'd like to have the explanation. That's model interpretability. Shapley values have one method of doing that where they say, well, I will tell you which of the factors I know most contributed to the decision.
I mean, you're talking high level, but you're still not telling me how it works.
All right, so let's get into that. Here I have a stack of cards. We're just going to play a simple game. I'll teach you the rules as we go. On each card, why don't you shuffle those up while we talk, while I explain it, are different features of this home renovation that I think are important to both of us.
Oh, good lordy.
All right.
I'm going to learn what Kyle thinks is important.
Now, I want you to draw 4 things off the top, but I get to cut this. I don't want you scamming.
Hold on, I'm not done shuffling. We stick together.
Draw 4.
From the top?
No, draw 3 from the top. Draw 3, lay them out, and explain what you got.
1, 2, 3. We're going to flip them. Number 1, new outdoor tile and side gate.
Yeah, that's something you want, right? For the side patio, we're going to put in that gate maybe?
Yeah, new gate.
All right, what's next?
Number 2, driveway gate and entryway improvements.
Oh, heavy on the gates this round, yeah.
Yep. Then redo master bath. Okay, so what's
right.
next?
So, what's the most important of these 3 to you?
The master bath.
Okay, so just take that one and keep it for yourself now. If you can only pick 2 of these 3, what's your second choice? The other you can't have.
Well, the driveway gate and entryway improvements.
Over the side gate.
Yep.
Draw one more card now. What do you
From
get
the
for your
top?
4th? Yeah, from the top.
Card number 4 says custom closet.
Now, if you get to have one more, do you want the custom closet or do you want the new outdoor gate?
Custom closet.
Why?
Because it's indoors, and I care more about the indoors than the outdoors.
Does it also maybe have to do with the fact that you already have some outdoor gate? You have some gate action going on. You don't need like 2 gate things. Redundancy with the gates.
Well, the first one we said driveway gate and entryway improvements. Those are something that if you were going to drive by the house, you could see from the outside, so that matters. And then the entryway, a lot of people might come in and drop something off. It's important that they have a nice entryway experience.
All right, so before we add our 3rd item, we've got already redo master bath. You picked that first. Now we've got driveway gate and entryway. On a scale of 1 to 10, realizing like that isn't much of a change yet, how valuable would just be those 2 things to you? If 10 was like we now have our dream home, where do you get after these 2 upgrades?
I mean, I would personally be like, what's the point of only doing those 2? So I guess it's like a 2.
2, okay. All right, then I come along. I'm going to give you 2 options. I want you to tell me what it would be like if I said you get that base and the custom closets, or no closets, and instead you get this side gate situation.
I mean, the custom closet is probably like a 3.
3, okay.
Outdoor tile and side gate. I mean, maybe like a 2.2.
Let's draw a few more things, and we'll talk a little bit about how Shapley plays into this. So, what'd you get next round?
Kyle drew an actual water fountain. So he said a large water fountain, which kind of looks like a urinal. Oh, there might be a bird on it. Is that a bird?
Yeah, there's a bird. Of course there's a bird.
What's the bird doing?
It's puking water into the fountain.
So it's a bird statue water fountain?
Yeah, it's very, maternal. The bird is feeding us the water of life. I thought it was symbolic.
Oh, wow. That's really creative there.
So we're at, let's go with the closet situation. We're at, what, 3 out of 10?
Yeah.
What if you get the large fountain? What's it worth to you now?
It's Still a 2 because I don't really want a large fountain. Although the
No, we
bird.
got the 3 with the custom closet. It didn't take you back. You should stay at 3 at the worst, right?
Oh, you're saying adding it, so there's
Yeah.
4 now?
Well, maybe it could be a 3.1. I'm not saying the fountain is as valuable to you as the custom
Okay,
closet.
it's still the same then. A 3.
3, not even 3.1. Go with me.
Okay, sounds
right.
like you want a 3. Kyle's leading the witness.
All right, here's the next item.
A small fountain.
Yeah.
So in this one, Kyle pictured a 3-tiered fountain, and there's no bird reference, but I see a brick. It's like a brick fountain on the bottom.
Yeah, never mind the masonry. It's obviously an inferior fountain, both in its absence of any avian reference and its size. But also, look, you already have the big fountain, right? So what do you gain by adding the small fountain?
I don't really need a small fountain, although it might function as a Yoshi bath, but she doesn't take baths. Now
Could
that
be.
I think about it, yeah.
All right, scrap the large fountain. Now add the small fountain. If you didn't have the large one, you see how it's of some value to do? Maybe not as much as the large, but you wouldn't have picked it because you're like, oh, I already have the large fountain. But if you didn't have the large fountain, you might be like, oh, all right, I'll take the small fountain. And when large fountain shows up later, you'll be less impressed with large fountain.
Why would I be less impressed with the large fountain?
Because you already got the fountain. You're already kind of on your way to your fountain needs.
Oh, fountain heaven.
So the point is, as you build up the plan of what we've accepted into the budget, the amount of added utility or benefit or happiness you get from each thing depends on what you've already got, right? So the small fountain on its own would be great, but if I already have the large fountain, I'll take the small one, but maybe not as adding to my value. However, that's conditioned upon the order that we just happen to shuffle the cards, right? It's totally luck of the draw, which is weird. You wouldn't want to have your system depend that much on luck.
Nope. I want to pick.
So we want to assign a value. Let's go through these other things. Maybe you could tell me which ones you think would be useful to have.
Okay, paint the house. Oh, this one's a long one. Really tall bookshelves with 2 sliding ladders with a dark hardwood along the lines of mahogany cherry or preferably walnut with built-in USB support.
Yeah, so like a nice bookshelf kind of like that.
This is a very specific
All
ask.
right, well, there's all different kinds. Let's put some more out.
Kitchen cabinets.
Uh-huh.
Kitchen countertops.
Right.
Enclosed loft.
Yeah, because we have that loft. And lastly,
secret passageway.
so now you see all the options I'm giving you for the renovation. You can pick from these, but we can't probably afford all of them. So we'd like to decide, how do we assign value to each of these? But as we've established, the value kind of depends on what we already have. So can you think of any fair way we might assign value in that regard?
A fair way. Cost?
So cost is a big part of it for sure. But if it was just cost, this would be a bin packing problem. I'd probably use like the knapsack solving algorithms. Actually, what's different here is that cost is not necessarily what we're going for, because for me personally, I want to paint the house. While that definitely has a non-trivial cost, it's pretty cheap overall, right? It's not going to be a big line item on the overall budget, but for me, it will bring me a great deal of happiness. So I'm already at a 4 out of 10 just painting the house.
Wow. Good to know. You're really excited. Kyle's been talking about painting the house.
Yeah.
The exterior specifically.
Yeah, we had some sort of staining leakage thing. We think that's solved. So otherwise, there was no point in painting it, but now that's solved. So no matter when I get paint the house, it's like a 4-point bump in any plan for me. But as we get down to the last slots, getting some expensive item like, ooh, can we add kitchen countertops? It's like, well, we have decent countertops now. We already have all these other nice things. Maybe this isn't worth as much to me under some scenarios, right?
Interesting.
You know how many scenarios there are?
Well, it depends how many you are limited to. Do you have you have 4 slots or you have infinite slots?
Well, it's however many slots you have, it's 2 to the n, because there's an exponential number of ways you could arrange them, right, in the order they come in.
Yeah.
So that's a problem we're going to come back and talk about in a minute, but it gets at the core of how we compute the Shapley value, which is interesting. So we shuffled our cards today, and then I dealt you out some stuff in a row. We could shuffle again and deal them out in another order, and you'd start to value each thing more. So imagine if I was handing these out to you, and I was like, all right, first, Linda, you get your countertops. Then you get, how happy did that make you? Next, you get your cabinets. How happy are you now? Next, we paint the house. How much does that increase your happiness? And at each point, you should be able to say, my happiness has gone up by X. If you already have something, like you already have a fountain, the second fountain doesn't make you go up by that much more, presumably, unless you've gone fountain crazy.
Mm-hmm.
that depends on the order too. So, but by shuffling or looking at every possible combination, sometimes you'll see the small fountain first, sometimes you'll see the large fountain first. Maybe sometimes there'll be a landscaping thing that I didn't include, which dwarfs the fountains altogether, and we don't even have them because we live in Southern California and it's a drought here and we shouldn't have fountains probably, but you get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
The way you want to value each of these items is to calculate every single possible ordering, and when you add the new item, how much does it make your happiness go up, which will vary by plan, but take the average. So the average increase for putting it into a new plan is how much you should value each of these things for.
Okay. So we're not going to do that, right? Because that would take a long time.
Right. It's too many. Well, actually, so it's an exponential number of combinations. We might actually calculate it for our particular use case here because we're dealing with a finite number of changes to the home. So compute being what it is, I can actually do that calculation on a small scale. But on a big scale, you can't. That's the problem with Shapley values. They take a long time to compute these numbers. So using them in practice is limiting, I guess, because you have to invest in the compute.
So if you were to calculate it for us, how long would it take, and what's a small number?
Let me think about how I'm going to implement this in real life, because what I'm expecting when we use this in more of like a machine learning context, you can look at adding features to a model. So let's think about like a credit scoring model. If I can know your banking history, like what your balance is, that's very informative, right? If you have $1 million, you're probably able to pay your bill. If you have $0 or you're negative, less likely to pay your bill, but the balance does not tell the whole story. So that one feature is very powerful. If you next tell me someone's employment status, well, that's also very helpful in deciding their creditworthiness. If you, after that, tell me their video rental history, well, nobody rents videos anymore, but maybe you give me the history of their rent payments with their landlord, let's say. That's sort of duplicative or redundant with maybe their payment history on a credit card, so you don't learn that much new. So those insights become less and less valuable, but you can build models with each combination. So like, let me build the model where I have features A and B, then let me build a model where I have A and C, and to build a model A, B, C. And I can look at each case, and I can automate that process. I can retrain those models. I don't know if I can sit you down and force you to assign a happiness amount to an exponential combination of the features we're going to be interested in.
Right, so how do you do that?
Well, I guess I'll need to simulate you. So good thing we've been working on Linhda bot. I'll just inference your preferences with machine learning.
Really? I don't know if
I'll let you
Linhda
know
bot
what
is
you
any
pick.
good. Now I'm curious what my other alter ego will select.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to pull Shapley values into our reno, but that is the mechanism I want to explore. This is the right framework, the right methodology and formalism. If nothing else, keep the intuition that Shapley values help you determine how valuable some contributor is to like a team effort. And you do that by saying like, well, if I consider every joining order of the team, the first player obviously gets an advantage all the time because you don't have a team without the first player. But if you consider every joining order, on average, you'll see the bump the team gets from adding that new player.
So listeners, you can't see Kyle's face right now, but he is just so excited to apply.
And I just can't hide
these values. I don't know what he's going to bring back later.
Gonna lose control and
he is so excited. So you guys are in for a ride.
So we may touch on this again if you can spare us a moment. Of the features I brought to the table, again, these are what I'm putting as in scope for the project. What are you most excited about?
Probably anything with the kitchen.
Anything with the kitchen? So
yeah, maybe the cabinets.
Countertops.
What about you?
We have nice countertops for like the 90s.
Yeah.
For me, I want the between the secret passageway and painting the house.
So if there was a secret passageway, what would it connect from what to what?
I'm not telling you. That would spoil the secret.
But we don't have any space to have a secret passageway.
All right, fine.
That's where I'm confused. Where does it fit? A secret passageway for Yoshi, maybe.
Well, we're going to take this offline.
Or a mouse.
And I guess that's your Data Skeptic episode for today.
All right. Thank you, Kyle.
Thanks, Linda. Thanks for listening to Data Skeptic Interpretability. Our topic today was Shapley Values. Our theme song is Number 5 by Big D and the Kids Table. Claudia Armbruster is our associate producer. Vanessa Burciaga is our guest coordinator. Kyle Polich is the data skeptic, and Linda Tran appears as herself. Good night, everybody.